When I became a professor at the University of Manchester, that was my first professorship, I got that professorship because, as the evidence will show, I had persuaded the colliery managers. In those days, the coal industry was Britain's biggest and most powerful industry, and I was asked by the owners of the coal industry to see what could be done to raise its efficiency. I said, if we're going to educate the colliery managers, we must get the colliery managers themselves to argue with each other about their problems. You can't send somebody into a party of colliery managers, somebody who's never managed a coal mine, some of them not even having been down a coal mine, and get them to lecture the managers. But by getting the managers together to discuss with each other their here and now problems, that so improved the efficiency of the pits, as the evidence will show you, that I was invited to become a professor at the University of Manchester. Now, it's one thing to say to real colliery managers, look, get together and argue about your problems with each other, and you'll see the solution of them by trying to build on the most precious asset which the industry has, which of course is the lived experience of its real managers. But when I tried to introduce this same idea into a university, things were very different, and I was opposed by all the experts, the professors of sociology, the professors of economics, even some of the professors of what was then called management. They didn't like the notion that it was the people who carried the final responsibility, whether it's the children in the classrooms in Perth, or the managers in the pits, or the surgeons in the operating theatres. My argument to the professors that no, we must get an entirely fresh way of thinking about our problems was bitterly opposed. I couldn't get any support. I actually had to resign my professorship at Manchester and move to a foreign country, and I worked for 10 years in Belgium. So there's plenty of opposition, and when I came out first with that was on manufacturing industry. The evidence for that is very clear indeed. But I did the same thing in hospitals, and when I came out and showed that patients recovered more quickly when the nurses were encouraged to discuss with each other what their problems were, instead of listening to some, or in addition to listening to some expert on hospital organization, when I showed this was true, I was actually ridiculed by the professional papers as getting into moral evangelism. Moral evangelism, just think of this, that I was accused of that because I was saying these nurses have got values and motivation and experience which, if we're professional lecturers and teachers, we simply don't understand because we haven't gone through it as the nurses looking after a dying child have experienced. And because I was touching on this, I was accused of moral evangelism.